All right, it's time to finish editing this photo. We've already adjusted for white balance and exposure. So now we're going to be bringing out the little tiny details that will make this really, really pop. So we've got our exposure set to 0.75. We got our temperature set perfectly. So let's work on this. First thing we're going to do is reduce the contrast to -13. Now this just makes, because it's a baby portrait, it's kind of nice to have a little bit softer look to it. So that's great. But I also want to emphasize all the little lights in their eyes and things like that. So I'm going to bring the highlights up just a tad. And I'm going to drop my shadows down just a little bit. I'm going to bring those whites up because I like how the frosting, I just want that frosting on the face to kind of pop out a little bit. It's cute. And I'm going to bring my blacks up just a little bit. Look at that. That's really cute. All right, so I don't mess with the presence and clarity and vibrance here. But one thing I do add is a little tiny bit of an S-curve. An S-curve is when we pull the highlights up and the shadows down. It creates mid-tone contrast, but we just want to pull the darks down just a tiny, tiny bit, hardly at all. I'm really liking that. But there is one thing I'm seeing with this photo that I don't like so much. And that's the little spots of yellow in the eyeballs. Now, I don't mind the frosting and cake parts all over the head, but for some reason, in both eyeballs, it's not my favorite. So I want to bring this photo over into Photoshop to fix those little things because I think it works better in there. But I want to show you something first. I had cropped this photo down. So all the adjustments I made while it was cropped are over the entire image, which is fantastic. But let's say I forget that I cropped it for the editing, and I'm going to go directly into Photoshop with it cropped. Let's see what happens. Now I have the choice to open as a smart object in Photoshop, or I can just edit in Photoshop in general. Either way, since I'm going to be having to work on a new layer, it's not going to make a difference in what we're going to do here. All right, so we're here in Photoshop. Whenever I'm working in Photoshop, I do like to create another layer on my image just in case, so it's non-destructive editing. So in case I mess up or it doesn't look quite right, I haven't lost anything here. All right, so I'm going to use the content aware right here with the healing brush. Look, getting rid of that spots there. That's not a big deal. It's hardly noticeable at all. All right, let's go and save this. And head right back over into Lightroom. There's the photo with the spots removed. But look, it's cropped now. It's permanently cropped. So when you're going to bring photos into Photoshop, it's absolutely best to do all of your cropping after the fact. So I never crop before I go and do any further edits. I always keep my images completely full until I export. So I can crop for printing, but I don't want to crop before I bring my images into Photoshop.